Welcome to AstroTwins Radio, your cosmic GPS for life, love, and everything written in the stars. We're Tali and Ophira Edut, the AstroTwins, here to decode the astrology of the moment and help you navigate your destiny like a pro. Okay, everyone, Capricorn season is here. Happy solstice. Yes, we're recording on Solstice Sunday, but this podcast is for the week of December 22nd to 28th. As we wind down the year, Tali sitting in the nebulous semi-dining room of my home in Seattle.
Yeah, I like those lights, your festive whatever you've got going on back there.
I know my house does not have a fireplace, but I love a salvaged piece. So I found a mantle that was from a house in, of all neighborhoods, Magnolia.
And speaking of Magnolia, my adorable puppy that many of you have followed the journey of her unexpected adoption a couple years ago now, almost. Well, it's her second birthday today. So my little solstice baby fluffy pup, my little dachshund cavalier mix that someone gave away, but she was brought to me in the most fortuitous way. So I am here in New York, Ophi here, celebrating solstice, the beginning of Capricorn season, Magnolia's second birthday, the last night of Hanukkah. There's so much going on today.
Yeah. I'm feeling the light returning. We have 8 candles on the menorah for us Jews out there. And it's bringing the light into the world, which we need. Hanukkah started on such an awful note with the Bondi Beach massacre there. But humanity in Australia has been really coming forward. I saw thousands of people were at Bondi, and there were a bunch of surfers. When we visited Sydney, which was years ago now, but I'm sure it just really had a strong civic sense there. Like, people cared about their country in a way that, they were like apologizing for the weather to us. Like, they're like, I have a sense of ownership and pride here that I think we have struggled to see and feel because of the divisiveness here in the United States. And it's not like it isn't there too. I mean, it's everywhere in the world. But
well, when we were there, we were brought over there by a marketing firm that was representing their main energy company, Origin Energy, and they had a new plan called the Predictable Plan. So the people at the agency were readers of our horoscopes and thought it would be fun to do a riff on predictions. So they sent us around on a whole press tour, and it was super fun.
2016.
2015, I think. It was 2015. And
it was, yeah.
Yeah, 10 years ago. And we had to talk about how Australia was an Aquarius-ruled country because I think their Independence Day is at the end of January. And I mean, the United States is a Cancer-ruled country, July 4th. And you can really see the difference. They are showing the best of Aquarius values of people coming together and looking out for each other, whereas the Cancerian kind of shadow that has emerged with Jupiter and Cancer here in the United States is that sort of protectionist, isolationist, us against the world in our shell. Cancer, every zodiac sign has, a spectrum of positive and negative expressions it can follow. Right. But I feel like, unfortunately, Jupiter at its negative can be arrogant, stubborn, greedy, ego-driven, and we're seeing an amplified expression of that Cancerian kind of domestic protectionist stuff in the world. And I think really here in the United States, I think some of the far right anti-immigrant sentiment is not mixing well with Jupiter and Cancer. And I hope we remember also that Jupiter is about generosity and Cancer is a sign of home. And we remember that our borders are not supposed to be closed. Our doors and our hearts are not supposed to be closed, especially,
Yeah.
I'm saying this as a Jew on the week of Christmas. Like, I think that's what the spirit of the season is supposed to be about, opening our doors and our tables and being welcoming to people, regardless of what their human status may be
And
on
so many
paper.
and it's really that spirit lives and shines in so many people, even if it isn't being represented in corporate media so much, and it feels like it's being drowned out. It really isn't, and that's why it's so important. People are loving Substack. People are loving their podcasts. Independent media is is really poised to have, you know, an even bigger moment when Uranus goes into Gemini next year for 7 years, starting April 25th. But I do remember, like, when we went to Australia, it was 2015, because people were like, everywhere we went, people asked, "Do you really think Donald Trump could win?"
Oh, I remember
And I was
that.
like, yeah, I hate to say it. We could not give a hard no at all. And it wasn't simply astrological. It's also the nature of, the US. Like, that was just such peak reality TV time. And he had been on The Apprentice, and people just thought they knew him. It was like we were voting with like familiarity and TV mindsets then. Who knew it would
Which
devolve into
is a
this?
psychological, trick or whatever. Like, it works. We tend to think that things are familiar, are safe. Our minds will trust something that we've seen more, whether it's trustworthy or not. We are ruled by our subconscious minds. 95% of our decisions are made with our subconscious, which is
That's
based
right.
on pattern recognition and uh, repetition. So a master marketer would do well in an
And we're going
election
to
in
see a
this day
lot.
and
Yeah, we're
age.
going to see a lot more of that. But I think, like, as one of the things of 2025, like, it really, like, the masks are off. There have been so many tricks. It's just, it almost is a joke. Like, what's real, what's not? It's the year of the grift. I think grift should be the word of the
Right.
year. It
It really should.
slipped out of Erica Kirk's lips. She made a Freudian slip. I think she was in Vegas on one of
She
her
was introducing her ex-boyfriend who's stepping into a role, I think, in Turning Point.
an
Yeah,
ex-boyfriend.
Cabot, whatever his
Good
name is. I don't
God.
know. And she said, she meant to say that he had grit, but she said grift, and then she was like gift, and then she said grit. So she like tripped over the word twice. I'm still not sure it's an AI image or
It's
something that
no,
really
it
happened.
isn't
It's
actually.
not.
It was legit. And then she was like, "He's anything but a grifter." I mean, we talk about
She
this
stepped
is a
right on in it.
shadow. Yeah, Jupiter in Cancer is brought. We wrote about this in our 2026 horoscope book in the Almanac. If you get the big book, which has all 12 signs and has a special almanac feature, our sign by sign books have are more planners with calendar pages, so they're a nice little duo. And thanks to everyone who's bought those already. But I think Erica Kirk, she is kind of she's modeling the Iron Lady. We have this Iron Lady, hyper feminized, but like Jupiter is this bloviating, dominating. Jupiter is Zeus. So Jupiter felt entitled to everything. The king of kings, the queen of queens. So Jupiter in Cancer is bringing this like shadow of the feminine. I'm all here for a powerful woman, but if you're using that power to step on other women like Christy Nome or people, as an evil force, Christy Nome, Pam Bondi, Erica Kirk and Pam Bondi are both Scorpios. I looked at Erica Kirk's chart, and she has an Aries moon, and she has Mars in Aries as well, which is, this is This is someone who wants to win. This is
Yeah, that's a very
cutthroat energy.
cutthroat chart. I think something in Scorpio too. It's interesting that you mentioned Substack because Jupiter also rules publishing.
Mm.
And Cancer is sort of that subscriber model. It's private. So we have seen the media shift to more of like you have to subscribe to read this whole post Substack model. People are really preferring a little bit of a clip. I mean, it's also brought us the likes of Truth Social and all these other kind of things, private clubs, not great.
But also
But
some real like the it's almost like a privatization of corporate media.
yeah,
Barry Weiss is an Aries. With she has Mars and Scorpio and a Capricorn moon. So
okay.
again, there's that same trio there of those
Very
cardinal
cardinal.
energies with some Scorpio in there. And it's I know Usha
Wield your
Vance.
powers for
Usha
good,
Vance is a
women.
Capricorn with a Scorpio moon, Mars and Scorpio. She's a whole Scorpio stellium. So there's a lot of like strategic the masks of women are the ones that for me are the most confusing because we are
Or
really seeing
were.
the
They're really,
female, yeah, the she villain is like something I'd love to leave in 2025, but
I think we're going to drag it into the first half of 2026 while Jupiter's in Cancer. And then
I
we
do,
have
yeah. And
Saturn and Neptune going into Aries. And so I think it's just something we have to be used to and ready for. Like,
yeah, like screen it for a while. Like, is this Tilly Norwood, the AI actress? Are these robots? There's robots dancing on stage at a K-pop concert now. I
oh
saw it's
my
like
God, they're
are you
replacing backup dancers with robots now.
trying to? I don't know. It's just a
It's almost
feature.
like I hope this becomes as much of a joke as like the dial-up modem screech and the AOL you've got mail and some of these other things. I don't know if it will, but I think we're just trying to AIify one thing too
I mean, here's
many.
my perspective on it. Like, if we want to have robot friends hanging out with us, if we want to use AI kind of as a creative tool, but that's fine, just not as a replacement. I've got my
Yeah,
own,
assist, don't
it could
replace.
be a fun feature to have in your show, but like a puppet almost, but when it becomes the puppet master, that's when it gets. I want to go back for 1 second on the Jupiter and Cancer, like how it's affecting the world too. It's like we are seeing these closed policies. The UK is really pushing the real ID and the
Yeah.
digital ID. So now, in order to even work there, you have to have a real ID. Vietnam, if you didn't have if you don't have a digital ID, this they actually like closed your bank account. Like bye
Wow.
bye money, bye bye savings. You don't have a digital ID. Like so, it's getting draconian and. Yeah, unfortunately, as we move into 2026, the year of the unbridled spirit, as we're calling it, we can, the unbridled spirit can be high vibe or it can have shades of the antichrist or spiritual
Mm.
entitlement or evangelical, you know totalitarianism. So we really it's not like it's all roses like, oh, butterflies are free, my spirit is soaring. It's like where we yeah, discernment, razor sharp instincts, we're going to need them next year.
Yeah. Well, I was, looking at the Kabbalistic meaning of Hanukkah because I like to, it has been probably one of the worst years to be a Jewish person of my existence, obviously not throughout history, but
In recent
um
times, I would agree.
because we have this ambiguous loss of our identities. We have someone leading Israel who is so polarizing and awful, and atrocities being committed in our name without our permission. um and it's there's such a kind of overlap of like, if you have any sort of pride in the heritage you were raised with as a Jew, you're called a Zionist, and then you're the enemy and you're anti-Palestine. And it's like Jews have lost. I mean, we're like, wait, we're the ones who are always fighting for civil rights and justice. So many of us, like, where do we put ourselves?
The
So,
most, I don't think people realize that they're being offensive when they say this, but when there's like, I'm not anti-Semitic, I'm just anti-Zionist. It's like, yeah, don't say that to your Jewish friends, like that's like, I don't hate all Jews, just some of you. It's like Zionism was a concept that was born out of all sorts of reasons, out of a desire to have a safe space for our people who are getting killed in pogroms in Russia, kicked out of countries, wandering, then decimated in the Holocaust. So people wanted a safe zone. It did not go well in many ways
and
because
people were displaced just as they were in the United States under a similar
and there's no excuse for
under
them
man, no,
that
there's
we
no,
didn't
in
know
no
about
way are we
Knock. I think
justifying
what's
that.
also been hard about being a Jew this year is having to grapple with our own pieces of our own history that we didn't know about.
And
I did,
propaganda and dogma that we were taught
yeah, we
in
didn't know
Hebrew
not, yeah.
school and
Yom
that sort of thing too.
Ha'atzmaut, the Israeli Independence Day, is Nakba. I never heard of the term Nakba. We weren't told about Nakba, and it's been very much a time of reckoning and pain and, feelings of, I mean, there is so much
There's a
un,
lot of like, oh my God, what was done in our name, but here we are. And we would never have chosen either, we never have chosen the Holocaust, we would never have chosen Nakba. We would, if we could go back and do it differently, is what I feel like so many. But here we are in the United States, which was created under the auspices of Manifest Destiny, which was another sort of
colonial settler
inconvenient colonial mantra. There was displacement, there was slave enslavement, there was trafficking,
genocide.
genocide, and all of the things. And yet, where would we go? So it's, to me, I'm like, what do we do with this? And always I try, like, when I can't figure that out on the human plane, let's go back to the mystical, the timeless, the spiritual, and see if there's anything there.
Well, you were going to read the definition of Hanukkah. Is there
Yeah,
something in there
well,
for that? I mean, the Kabbalistic,
Kabbalistically,
yeah, not
yeah,
definition of Hanukkah, the Kabbalistic approach to Hanukkah. Yeah. What did
yeah,
you
the
find?
Kabbalistic approach is that Hanukkah is about revealing the hidden light in the material world. So it's a symbol of our internal struggle as individuals and with as among all humanity against, between ego and the desire for unity, between greed and selfishness and the desire to share. So it's supposed to be about a small light pushing back against great darkness, and darkness symbolizing just what's hidden from us, what hasn't been illuminated, and what we can't see, our unconscious urges. So
Mm.
Hanukkah itself actually means dedication. So I think that's an interesting thing that it comes here. We are, the last night is on the first day of Capricorn season and at the solstice. So what are we? We're making resolutions, setting intentions. What could we create? How can we be more light workers next year? How can we, in the coming year ahead, dedicate ourselves to our values for all humanity? And that's a question for me as a Jewish person. What am I dedicated to? Because I'm not dedicated to
Right.
some, to the things that are happening in the Middle
The
East by any
identity
stretch.
politics of religion, which happen because people have been traveling together. Religions were where we found our tribal identities as humans for years and years, and they still are. They're cultural identities. However, why were religions formed in the first place, to give us a spiritual ethical code to help explain, like the Tibetan book of dying, or I think it's living and dying, but it's just like, why are we here? What is this brief journey that we have as in this incarnation? And these are
Well,
the
one of the
things that I
things I
want.
did this past week was I was at Gloria Steinem's. A
No
lot
big
of people
deal.
don't know. Yeah, a lot of people don't know that we uh, started our careers. We began a magazine in college. Tali had the idea that we should start a multicultural women's magazine after winning a
Size
contest.
positive. Yeah.
Yeah, size positive, inclusive. This was in the early 90s. She had won a contest at an iconic teen magazine called Sassy, and then came back from New York after 3 weeks there and said, "Let's start our own magazine at the University of Michigan." So
And
it
include
started at
all women, because even as amazing as
Mhm.
Sassy was, they were still restrained by corporate publishing and media and had to have the size zero sample size models, and
Exactly.
primarily white women. And.
Yeah. So we decided to create our own, and we raised money from different student groups to create it with our friend Diane Logwood. And we did it for 7 years, and we actually sold it. So we sold our first company when we were 26 to another publishing company. And then
New
I went,
Moon. Yeah.
New Moon, it was called. And then I went and worked at Ms. Magazine for Gloria Steinem, who's the
Grand
grand
Dame. Yeah.
theme of feminism. And then from there we
And an
also
Aries, an
and an
incredible
Aries.
Aries.
So we
Mm.
also went and we also built Ms. Magazine's first website and uh, did the first real design of a website called feminist.com, which Gloria has been involved in. So feminist.com turned 30 this month, and Gloria Steinem, who's now 91, hosted a salon for it in her living room.
And shout
And
out to Leo Marianne Schnall, who has really kept that site, the torch of feminism, burning all these
yeah,
years. Yeah.
Leo, Marianne, Aries Gloria, Dolores Huerta was there, who's also an Aries. She's 95. Carol Gilligan, who's a Sag. The fire sign women were
Represent.
representing
Yeah.
there for sure. But what I really took away from that was that we need these things that bring us together, and identity politics can. But what really drew me to astrology was that even though I knew that as sort of an activist person, didn't think of myself as an activist. I thought of myself as a humanitarian. Sun in the 11th house. I want all people to be safe, powerful, and free, and to have access to things because they should. I mean, it felt like common sense. But even though identity politics gave us spaces to talk about those things, and Ms. and feminism did, they also would divide us. So astrology felt like it was the one place where you could talk about differences in a way that unified instead of polarized. Now that's changed even as astrology has grown. People have mixed identity
Right. Are you
politics there.
Hellenistic or
Yeah, or they've brought that back in, which I get.
why
And
humans? Why?
I mean, it's like I think, especially for a lot of queer people, I understand it has helped them really name and claim an identity and speak about it. So great if
Yeah,
it's
of
been a
course.
vehicle for that. I think when we start to unpack identity politics, it illuminates and creates understanding, but then can also it stirs up a lot. And we also want to be like, okay, I am defined by these things that I've experienced, the cultures I'm part of, and also where am I just me? What does my soul want? So I love that astrology is also there for me to reach for in moments when it becomes complicated to be a woman, to be Jewish, to have the identities, when I don't feel that I can control what is being done in my name by people who
or the
represent me.
narratives out there that are going around. Well,
Yeah.
that's, one of the key things that's happening next year, and we've talked about it a lot, is Saturn and Neptune meeting up at 0 degrees Aries, the Aries point in the start of the zodiac on February 20th. And Saturn is like, oh, let's change the laws, let's shift the policies, let's deal with what's happening on the material plane. This is my body, this is my identity, this is my, this is what defines me. Whereas Neptune is like the boundary dissolver, where do we all connect as spirit? What is that unifying message of compassion, of faith, that doesn't matter where you're from. We just, you know, this is where we're all going and where we all came from spirit. So they're together for 2 years in Aries, and I think we're gonna have more. They were already together for a little while, between May 25th and September 1st. They were both in Aries this year, and we got a little taste of it, and I think that glimmer that as the year winds down, there's a lot to process, and I think this holiday season is going to also, like I've been feeling like a little bit solitary and kind of down, up and down, my emotions all over the place this past week. Right after we recorded the podcast last week, we found out about Rob and Michelle Reiner being murdered in their home by their son. And that on top of the Brown shootings and Bondi and all the other things going on in the world, the Mike Johnson closing down the government so that so there couldn't be that vote that was supposed to happen
To
to
extend the
extend the
Affordable
Affordable Care
Care
Act.
Act.
It's just
Yeah.
like, and then Trump just going on a press tour, lying about the economy. It was just a lot.
The
It's a lot.
Epstein file
Oh yeah,
photos being released, obviously curated and edited
deeply
to
redacted, deeply redacted.
it's
It's just a lot to process. And I think we have to also not just go into, the year of the unbridled spirit doesn't mean the year of the spiritual bypass. So, Venus are squaring Neptune in the early part of the week, making an exact square on Christmas Eve. And a little later in the day, Venus goes into Capricorn and joins Mars there until January 17th. But Venus, Neptune square, Venus and Sagittarius is like, let's be, brave and creative and allow ourselves to look at the truth. But Neptune and still in its last bit of Pisces is like, I don't really like what I see, but I have to address this. And I really think, like we've said, 2025 has brought gaslighting, grifting. Finally, what pulled me out and has been like a source of like comfort for me has been listening to Lily Allen's West End Girl. It came out a couple weeks ago, but I didn't have a chance to listen to it yet. And it is just, I feel like there wasn't really like 2024, we had like Chapel Roan and these amazing albums coming out, like even Sabrina Carpenter, some pop that was like, and
and this year
Charlie
she comes back
XCX.
with that awful Man's Best Friend album cover. I was just looking at it today,
Oh
doing a
God, yeah.
retrospective. I'm like, it actually disturbed me. I was like, not only is it disturbing that she's on her hands and knees like a dog, but like there's some guy who you only see his legs kind of pulling her
Oh, I
hair.
know.
And it's
It was
just like
just, it would have
it's like a
worked,
failed
but yeah.
Taurus attempt to make it look like she's into
Well,
kink, I
in the
guess.
cotton, it would have been fine in the context of last year, but this year, with the regime coming in and all the just clamping down on DEI and women's rights, it's been so hard. So what I love about West End Girl, it's like she really takes you on a journey that I think we've all been through. I mean, Lily Allen is a Taurus with a Taurus moon. She has Venus and Aries. And it's about her ex-husband, David Harbour, and Aries. He is like the police chief on Stranger Things, who like Winona Ryder starts dating, I think, and he's like the big protective guy. But apparently, it begins with Lily Allen, like she moved to New York. They got a brownstone that was more expensive than she thought, but she just, and then she got a lead in a play on the London's West End and had to go over, back there to be in the play. And his demeanor kind of changed. Like, and I guess he told her, well, you have to audition for that. Like his ego got all
Mm.
threatened. And then while the second track is like a phone call and you only hear her, and he's like telling her that he needs to see other women while she's away. And they start making this arrangement that she's not comfortable. It makes her sad, but she wants him to be happy. So she goes into the whole people pleasing spiral, like discovering that now he's actually dating someone. It's
Sounds like
not,
she's really like actually taking you through
she
something
takes
a
you through the
lot of
whole
women have
journey.
been through of
Yeah.
like, well, I want to be a good
She even
partner.
like tries it out and has a song called Dallas Major. Like that's a name she makes up for herself while she goes out and tries to do an open relationship. It's just like, it's
Oh,
so
wow.
brilliant and hilarious and like also like searingly painful. But it's like the experience, whether or not you've been, had someone manipulate you in a relationship, I think we can all just relate to the experience of being somehow gaslit, discovering something that maybe was there all along that you didn't want to see, and then trying to grapple with it and make it make sense or even align with it so that you can, I mean, Cheryl Hines definitely needs to
Oh
listen
my
to this
God.
because she's
Yeah.
trying so hard to like make herself the Maha first lady with RFK Jr., who, by the way, is attempting to change the vaccine recommendations to align with Denmark's now. So, how
Can someone
many?
just make him go away? The
Yeah.
worst, the absolute worst. He lied his way through that confirmation hearing earlier this
Now the whole
year
thing with
and went
Olivia
in and did
Newsy
whatever the hell he want. Oh my
and
God,
his
that whole Olivia.
blowjob poetry that's so disturbing.
It's
Yeah.
so gross, so disturbing. It's like, ew, you are just and violent. Like he's just kind of like how like hold your nose or it's
Oh my
that's
God.
it's that anyway. I'm all for like
My harvest.
consensual, do whatever the hell you want, but it's like these power dynamics and this it again, I'm always the one who talks about human design in 2027. Entering the final year of this 412 year cycle, the cross of planning, as it's called, the era of planning, which was all about creating these different sort of hierarchies and institutions that were originally supposed to sort of help people build um, quote unquote civilization. And we can see how well that's gone in some ways. Like, sure, in some ways it's worked out for our, at least the developed world, but look at the toll it's taken on, you know, every other part of the planet and the erasure of cultures and animal species and just so many things. So we're at the end of it, and the final years are always just that last gasp before we move into the era of the sleeping phoenix, which we also wrote about in our 2026 book, this whole transition. And you feel that, I think when you're in that last gasp, there's always going to be this kind of the death throw, you know,
Death rattle kind
the
of thing.
death rattle when people organize around trying to protect the thing that
Needs to
is
change.
needs to evolve. So yeah. So but if you're ready to say goodbye to 2025 in a ritual way, on December 30th, we're hosting our annual, I think it's our fifth or sixth annual Cosmic Closure webinar 2025, the grand finale. Come declare cosmic closure on the year and reset yourself, release, get ready for 2026. Our friend Afreen Khan came up with this concept. I think it was I guess it was 2019 or 2020 the first time we did it. But yeah, we've
It
been,
was 2019, I think, actually. Yeah.
yeah, it might have been. But either way, it's been a long enough time that I can't remember. And it's been
And it's
great
free.
every
It's
year.
free.
It's a free webinar. Just, a lot of times people are just by the time the holidays are over, you're just like, okay, I'm just kind of sitting here, so waiting for New Year's Eve or not.
Hmm.
So we're going to just gather for an hour at 1 o'clock Eastern. We'll drop the link in, but grab your free seat and come and really focus on what to let go of.
What skins you want to shed, and we have some guidance for you on that too, based
Mm-hmm.
on astrology, but also open-ended manifestation rituals that we do together. So it's great. It's my favorite way to close out the year, spending
Yeah.
time. So astrostyle.com/events with an S is where you can just go and sign up for it and come spend some time with us on December
Yeah.
30th.
And see our other live events coming up. I'm heading out to Bedford Books after this recording in Bedford, New York for winter solstice workshop, but we're also going to have Cosmic Closure, then our annual Planet by the Planets masterclass. Tickets to that, it's a webinar, are only available when you buy one of our books. Any version of our 2026 book includes the ticket. And then we're going to be in Montecito, California at Godmother's Books, January 14th. We're doing a workshop and a book signing. And then I'm going to be in Darien, Connecticut at Haven, it's women's co-working space. You don't have to be a woman to come. It's open to everybody, but January 28th. So we're going to have a lot more events
And probably
ahead.
more coming up too. So
Definitely
yeah,
more. I'm planning some as we speak. So yeah, astrostyle.com/events. You
you
can
can
go
also
and
get there from our Instagram if you're following us at AstroTwins. And if you're not, please do. We have
yeah,
lots of bonus fun things going on there to
yeah.
give you something every day. So let's talk about Venus's move and let's bring it on into
It's
Capricorn
Capricorn
season,
season.
Venus
Yeah.
in Capricorn as of Wednesday, Mars in Capricorn. Like that kind of brings a bit of grounding adult in the room energy. Could have used that, about a year ago, but here we
We're going
are.
from fire to air. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Mhm.
so sad to see our Sag season go, but also actually ready for a little bit of like a more steady pace. Try to stay out of ideological warfare early this week with family members because sometimes it's okay to just not go there for the sake of your own peace and, personal boundaries. I think Venus and Capricorn can be a little icy sometimes, but it also is
Mhm.
boundaried. It's like, no, this doesn't work for me. When you say no, you can say yes. And that's, and when the holidays are over, that's a great combo to have when we step into January. Actually, on New Year's Day, Mercury, which is communication, strategy, thinking, speaking, will move into Capricorn too, and there'll be a whole cluster, a stellium of Capricorn planets to get us into this new year like grown-ups, before Saturn and Neptune meet in Aries on February 20th, the sign of the baby, and we start tossing rattles around. But um, Christmas Day is a Pisces moon, which is kind of just chill.
Sounds
Like
chill. Sounds
we
restful.
need, yeah, it's
We
like a
could all
time,
use some of that.
maybe some compassion coming in. Like it's,
Imagine that.
I know. And New Year's Eve, since people are already wondering maybe what's going on, the moon is in Gemini. So that's a social energy. Like be with your friends, be with peers, do some, Gemini rules
Keep some
local activity.
variety. Yeah.
Yeah, don't just it's not, I mean, if you do stay home, that's your prerogative, but maybe you like do a Zoom ritual with people, do vision boards, Gemini likes to use the hands or bake something or cook a dinner together.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's fun for going out though too, but you just want to be around people that you feel an easy connection with this year,
Mm-hmm.
that you can laugh and joke, like because
Or
that
if you're
had
feeling like you want to just be alone, it's a good,
writing,
books,
journaling,
podcasts,
reading.
journaling,
Yeah.
vision boarding, like Gemini. Yeah, Gemini. Yeah, Moon would
But
want.
it's a conversational vibe too. So, it
Mhm.
might, maybe there's some live streaming or something that you might, yeah, I mean, maybe it's listening to a really, or being part of like a virtual ritual. I think that, some people are really not wanting to leave their houses as much right now, especially immigrants and brown people here in the United States and black people who are being targeted. So, gather. It's such a
What a mess. What a
being a
mess
being
of a
in it's a
year.
hard year to be an American too, a a US citizen as well. Just,
Or to not be a US citizen.
true. I know. And I don't
Although
I
they don't seem to care if you are or not with their racial profiling. So it's
I'd like to see, yeah, the
ready for
things
that
I'd like to.
one year. I mean, the one universal year begins at the stroke of midnight. So on January 1st.
And
So
then
let's
yeah.
kick this 9 year behind us.
Yeah, I mean, with it starting out, and the first full moon is on January 3rd in Cancer. Um, so
Opposite Venus and Mars.
I
So
know.
it's, well, our monthly horoscopes have will tell you all about that. But for now, I think the this week with Capricorn, we've gone from fiery Sag to earthy Capricorn. Really is permission to slow down, streamline, prioritize. One of our friends
Be
reminded
the
me that,
adult in the room instead
yeah,
of the wild
someone
child.
reminded me that our one of our mantras for 2025 that we shared earlier in the year was simplify to amplify.
Oh, right.
And that she actually thought about that all year long. So there's still time left to simplify to
I
amplify.
think that's going to
And
be good advice for next year too, with the one. And
mm-hmm,
the fire horse year, we're still in the year of the wood snake until February 17th. The lunar new year always starts with the Aquarius new moon, which can be any time during Aquarius season. It varies from year to year. So anytime between like January 19th and February 19th. And so this year it's at the end. So that new moon on February 17th also is a solar eclipse, kicking off a new eclipse series that we
yeah.
haven't had since 2019 on the Aquarius Leo axis. So moving, kind of weaving in with these, we've had Virgo Pisces eclipses, which I think are have a lot to do with all the religious fervor and
And the health
manipulation,
and
gaslighting, yeah, the
health
RFK
care, everything like that.
scare and
Yeah.
paranoia. But now Leo is romance, playful leaders, heart-centered leaders, but also that gold ballroom bullshit. And
Oh
then
my God.
Aquarius is power to the people, organizing community, but also the broligarch technocrat. So,
Seems like we have
ooh,
kind of like two New Years. We've got January 1st and then February 20th, which is right after the year the horse kicks off, and the first eclipse on
and
the 17th, and the Saturn Neptune conjunction.
two,
So
3 days later. And well, we are moving into a different element then too. So years ending in 4 and 5 are wood years. So that's like you plant down and you grow up, and there's sort of a lot of
expand.
towering over other people, kind of, this is our land. This is, fire years are years that end in 6 and 7. And so we're starting a 2 year fire cycle. That's why it's the fire horse year. And anyone who was born in 1966 during after the Aquarius new moon that year is a fire
Early
horse.
1967 Capricorns and a few Aquarians.
Right.
And
You
you're
are
having your
fire horse.
fire horse 60th year,
Your
your
golden
gold.
birthday.
Yeah. So, I mean, but bring it back to the beginning of this year and the beginning of next year and the end of 2025. I almost think like simplify to amplify should be flipped for 2026. Amplify to simplify. Like,
Hmm.
what is the crystallized message you have, and how can you turn up the
Raise the
volume on
volume.
that and cut through all the confusion and illusion that the year of the snake has brought? And
Oh
like, it's
yeah.
very clear. It's one year, like one message. We were talking earlier about how sadly the right, the hyper religious right, especially, has succeeded at a clear message, even if it's founded on hate and divisiveness. It's like, what they stand for. And we need to use those tactics, those of us who are on the side of humanity, to um, you know bring people together that way. And we were saying how Zoran Mamdani actually did a good job. He kept focused on New York. I'm here for New York. I'm here representing New York residents, period.
Affordability in New York.
Yeah, you can try to paint me in all these different ways, but I'm here for New York. And you know what? It worked. He
One.
won the election. And I think if you are a person who has something positive you want to bring into the world, keep that in mind.
It's
Do the
like
work
simplify and amplify.
and amplify.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, it's like
exactly.
simplify. Like, what is that focus? Focus on that, raise the volume on it. I was kind of feeling like this sort of like raise the vibration is what we all need to do as well. It's
Yeah,
like,
the energy, the life force energy
I
of the
mean,
one
we
year.
have to, it's like this dualistic energy of Saturn, Neptune too. It's like we have to pay attention to what's happening, um, even with people we don't agree with, because the power and the decisions being made are dismantling democracy here in the United States. But we also have
Mhm.
to, it's hard to not get so caught up and obsessed and wrapped up in it that I mean, I'll go into my doom scrolling, listening to 3 podcasts in a row about the same news story, and it's hard to not slip into hopelessness and despair. I mean, it's important to listen to it for me, but I also like I can't. I have to
That's the danger. It's like the effect it has on your nervous system. Like, oh my God, it's hope, and
and
that's what
not
I was saying earlier about astrology and spirituality, like helping to take you out of that a little bit, or widen the viewfinder, or give you a context
like
or hope.
why is this happening? Well, maybe, a lot of people are saying, well, we needed to see what was behind the mask. And
Mhm.
absolutely this year, the year of the divine pendulum, what was, it's like, whew, we saw what could happen. We got a glimpse of the future for better and for worse. And then the planet swung back, and it's like, okay, whew, what is the discernment that we're going to do like before that
Yeah.
fire spreads, and over that's fire still needs to be contained, otherwise it can be
Mhm.
destructive. It can bring heat, it can bring energy, it can bring power, but it can also bring destruction. So
Well, here we are. The holidays have swung back around again. And,
mhm.
I think we can send you off into the last week and a half of the year. Just like let yourself slow down, spend time with the people that you want to spend time with.
Have a cathartic listen of Lily Allen's West
Yeah,
End
I'm going to
Girl
listen
from
to that for
start
sure.
to finish. Yeah.
And
Love all the parts of yourself that come up when you do.
even if, you know, January 1st is an arbitrary reset, it's still a new year. I've read a lot of books about the neuroscience of what helps us change. I think there's a book called Why We Change by Katie Milkman. She was a Harvard researcher.
Mm.
And what I remember from it that was that we really like a fresh start. That is, it doesn't even matter what it is. You could make up a holiday, or make it's like when people feel like there's a chance for redemption and renewal and to start over, versus like, beating themselves up for every way that they failed at the last fresh start attempt. It's like it galvanizes us, it gives us a burst of that dopamine and that energy. So fresh start incoming. I think that's why astrologers really love new moons, because every month we get a fresh start. I mean, every minute you do, but we've collectively agreed that we have one coming up. So join us for cosmic closure on December 30th to really clear the slate for you.
And why we do
take advantage of that.
Why we call it cosmic closure and why we do that is because we don't believe in false fresh starts where you just get to like suddenly show up and pretend I didn't do that. That didn't happen.
No.
It's also about making peace with, making amends if you have to.
Like, or just disappointments or things that you wanted to have happen that, I was
saying it aloud, being witnessed.
Or just like metabolizing the things that you keep in your head. Like, I really wish this had happened this year. Or just like all the things that didn't go the way we wanted them to, that we regret. Even if we, if we did hurt someone, we can make amends and try to do better. But it's also just kind of peace, finding peace without a bypass. So we invite you to join us for that. We will record it. We usually have a replay for a couple of days, but it's always great live if you can make it. There's a lot of love in the chat and in being together and that collective energy. Everybody always feels it. So, but if you're off on a holiday or, doing something that feels good to you, we wish you all the best. And thank you for another year. I think was this our second full year doing the podcast?
Second full year, yeah.
First full year, I think, doing it on camera this way.
Maybe. It is. We didn't always do it on camera in 2024, but
no.
Yeah, so happy holidays to everyone. Be the adult in the room or leave the room if you can't be. That's my advice. Don't be afraid to spend some time alone in reflection with that Pisces moon on Christmas Day. Be the 8th candle in the menorah. Bring light wherever you go, and connect to that light worker energy as we move and the return here in the northern hemisphere towards longer days, the time of the sun. And for our friends in Australia, and anyone below the equator, Brazil, Chile. I know I just did a reading for an incredible woman in Chile. You're in the time of the moon, so you're holding it down for us there as your days grow shorter.
Enjoy summer. Yeah.
Exactly. Enjoy
some summer for me. I was not made for this winter stuff, even as a Sag. All right. Well, happy holidays, everyone. We'll be back next week. One more 2025 pod, and we'll see you
December 30th.
Yeah. Okay.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks for tuning in to AstroTwins Radio. If today's episode gave you an aha moment, we'd be over the moon if you left us a 5-star review. It helps fellow astrology lovers find us. And make sure to hit subscribe and follow us on iTunes and Spotify so you never miss an episode. Want the full visual experience? You can also watch the video version on our YouTube at AstroTwins-TV. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at AstroTwins and head over to astrostyle.com to read your free daily, weekly, and monthly horoscope that we write for you with love. Until next time, move with intention and let the universe meet you there.